going to start with a round of introductions. I want you to tell everybody who you are and give us in under a minute what your health moonshot mission is with your company. Luca, we'll start with you and we'll head down the list.
Perfect, thank you. I'm Luca Emili. I'm the CEO and founder of InSilico Trials. Our moonshot is to reduce time and cost for development of drugs and medical devices using modeling and simulation. We are creating a platform that has models that give opportunity to make alternative methods to test safety and efficacy of drugs and medical devices, reducing the time up to 99%. So that's a new way to develop products and quite effective and also supported by regulators.
About how you do that, but Susan?
Sure. Susan Bratton, I'm the founder and CEO of Savor Health. Savor Health is a digital health company that provides personalized nutrition as intervention to prevent and manage the symptoms and the chronic diseases, both the symptoms of and the actual disease, starting in cancer and moving into kidney disease. And our long moonshot, the long game here, is that we believe evidence-based nutrition should be a reimbursed standard of care that's incorporated into the treatment guidelines. And so we're taking a very data-driven strategy to hit that moonshot.
Awesome. Shameet?
Hi, my name is Shameet Luhar. I'm the CEO and also one of the co-founders of Vheda Health. And what Vheda Health does is we empower people with chronic conditions to live their best life. And really, we have a focus on underserved populations. So for Medicaid and Medicare Advantage, what we do is we deliver 84% member compliance and save insurers money by providing our enrollees access to iPhones. And really, our differentiated approach by combining the human touch and the technology allows us to activate and sustain engagement for 7 times more Medicaid and Medicare Advantage members than your next best option.
Awesome. We're going to get more into that adherence idea in a minute, but Brant?
Brant Herman, founder and CEO of MouthWatch. We're in the dental space, so we empower and encourage patient education through visualizing treatment needs and also communication between providers, patients, and really closing loops within dental. And we're heading more into integrating dental and oral health into overall health. So making every healthcare touch point a dental care touch point.
All right, welcome guys. And again, I'm Logan Plaster, the media director at StartUpHealth. You want to learn more about anyone up here or any of the companies that we've supported in StartUpHealth, you can meet a lot of them in the pavilion downstairs or read about them on startuphealth.com. So when I was thinking about themes to discuss, something that jumped out to me for a discussion with Luca and with Brant is really talking about the way that COVID has pushed us towards virtual in some very specific areas. And I want to just hear about your experience as a way to understand the broader market. So for Luca, you've been working in applying these machine learning models to clinical trials, and all of a sudden, virtual clinical trials and remote clinical trials became a much bigger deal during COVID. So tell us kind of what that acceleration was like and kind of where you see that market right now.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, the digitalization in the during the COVID-19 problem was a must for pharma companies and medical device companies because otherwise it was not possible to adopt the traditional approaches. We have to say that the development of the vaccine and also the recent pills against COVID-19 has been highly accelerated by the modeling and simulation. Consider that previously it was about 5 years average to develop a new vaccine. It took 1 year, less 1 year this time. So the digitalization and the use of models that use past data and are able to elaborate virtual patients are really accelerating the creation of so-called digital evidences in a world that previously was going through traditional approaches that takes years to get some endpoint and also testing on animals that, of course, with COVID-19 was absolutely not applicable. So it was an incredible revolution that started at that time focused on COVID, now is moving into other therapeutic areas because, of course, the interest is once that this kind of approach worked, is to apply that into the other sector. And I have to say that from the request we're receiving from the market, it's really a revolution going on. I would say a sort of disruption of the traditional way to develop products.
I feel like you kind of went through that quickly, but the idea that you went from 5 years to develop down to 1 because of this, modeling technology,
absolutely,
is incredible.
It's incredible, and saved a lot of life and changed our life also for good. After the big problem of no cure for the vaccine for the COVID, So it's something that is showing how the Savor use of data and experience applied to a lot of different compound and opportunities is giving outcome that otherwise were relying only on specific tests, specific experience, and little groups of people. Then became a worldwide effort that generated this great result.
Yeah, fascinating. So Brant, you were in teledentistry long before COVID hit, long before people realized that they really needed to rethink how they saw their healthcare providers. And then all of a sudden it became a lot more important. So tell us kind of about the work you did prior to that point and kind of how that acceleration looked for you.
You bet. So teledentistry pre-pandemic was more about provider to provider communication. So freeing up hygienists and dental teams to reach out into the community, to collaborate more effectively, to kind of maximize the scope of practice for providers on a care team so that you're freeing up the most, let's say, expensive asset of a dentist and not having to have them in all of these care settings. Also opening medical integration, so allowing a nursing home or a hospital to capture the information and share that to a dentist. Then you mandate the closure of dental offices around the country. Suddenly there's a rapid understanding and adoption of the value of teledentistry, more on a patient-facing side. So how can I triage an emergency? Or how can I actually emphasize better home care and recommendations and communication so that you don't have to come in when you're trying to avoid any medical setting, to better communicate and understand and right-size the appointment and figure out, do you need to come in? Is this something I need to prescribe an antibiotic before you come into the office? So we saw that kind of knee-jerk reaction of I need to communicate with my patients. We also saw insurance companies start reimbursing for procedure codes. So in a dental visit, there's the exam or the consultation. That is the reimbursable part as kind of a part of the whole teledentistry care delivery model, but when that became reimbursed by carriers, suddenly practices saw the revenue, the sustainability of implementing telehealth into dental care, and that really transformed things, and now we're seeing lasting value of that. It's not just the reaction to triaging emergencies, it's more how do we continue to deliver care with telehealth in dental care as part of how we serve patients, provide convenience, and to our moonshot of access to care, it's not just rural or public health approaches anymore, it's really access into convenience and to making it so my dentist is not only seen every 6 months or when there's an emergency, but they're a resource for me as part of kind of my whole patient care.
Quick follow-up. I believe you were on Inc.'s list of fastest growing private companies for 2 years, is that right?
Yeah, we were.
What are some lessons you learned in that rapid growth, just looking back?
Well, we're an interesting company and we've got a combination of hardware. So we have imaging hardware that's used in practices chairside to really help expand and improve their communication with patients. And then the teledentistry component, which continues to grow. What lessons have we learned? I mean, it helps to have a really disruptive price point for valuable, essential technology. And I think we changed the conversation on the hardware by being something that practices needed and found immediate value in, that could now be deployed in every operatory as opposed to kind of this luxury item that was used in the one special location. It also ties to overall health and the teledentistry component because we can take any healthcare touch point, like I said, a nursing home or a hospital system, and put that affordable hardware piece in there and now have the data we need to accurately refer a patient into a dental care setting.
Awesome. All right, Susan, Shameet, I want to talk about meeting patients where they're at and really taking that step to understand their barriers to access and really stripping those away. And I know both of you have worked to do that. So Susan, we'll start with you. Why is it so important and how have you worked to try to make sure that your communications to cancer patients, to folks on the platform really pulls away the complexity and meets them where they're at?
So thank you for asking that question. I think if we look back at disease management going back into the 1990s, and we look at healthcare spending as a percentage of GDP, it just continues to go up, up, up and away. And when you peel back the onion and you start to look at what's happening is we're personalizing based on clinical variables not contextual variables. Meeting patients where they are is looking at their lived experience. So it's not just social determinants, right? It's context is an umbrella that is knowledge, beliefs, attitudes, it's cultural preferences, needs, unique barriers within the home, within the culture, and patient centricity is taking those into account, because the difference between success and failure is never, 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 almost never on the clinical personalization. It's context. We're not thinking about what matters to them. And so what we've done in our solution is we've got the algorithms and the clinical variables matching the interventions. But what we've done is we ask the patient what matters to you, and then we deliver it in a way that's relevant to them. It's actionable to them because it fits within their context.
Can you give me an example of how preferences drive care?
Preference, I was going to give you another one, but yeah, so preferences. So somebody says, I've got mouth sores, give me some foods that I can eat, or give me a recipe that I can eat. And I've also got hypertension, and I have kidney disease. So there are variables that would say you need something that's low sodium and not too spicy, things like that. But then the person says, I'd really like to eat Mexican food today, and I'm vegan. Well, no jalapeno peppers, right? But this is what I want, right? Not, we're gonna give you a one size fits all. Here are all the recipes for, people with mouth sores.
Yeah. Interesting. Shameet, I know you really care about this adherence issue. You talked about really reaching Medicaid and Medicaid populations where they're at. How does that work with Vheda Health?
Yeah, so for us, it goes back to that iPhone that we put in our members' hands, right? Because if you take a look at the sheer volume of people who are on Medicaid, I mean, it's 1 in 4 Americans. It's 80 million people. So just think about that for a second. 1 in 4 Americans is on Medicaid, and many of these members, they have a lot going on. I think Susan made a very important comment around just social determinants, right? It's typically why a patient is not being compliant is not because of their chronic condition, but it's around their non-clinical items. And so, we want to help them overcome those health disparities by giving them that phone, right? Because what that does is that it increases access to care, which is first and foremost one of our core values, right? Second is that it allows us to reach our members. Medicaid health plans, their engagement rates or activation rates with this population are in the single digits. So when I go into a room and I'm talking to these executives, where I can tell them that if you put this phone in their hands, you're going to have a dedicated phone number where you can always reach them, and we'll get you an adherence rate that is 10 times what you're getting right now. I mean, they're all ears. And then, I think what the third piece in all of this is, how do you keep that whole experience simple? Because these members have so many things that are going on in their life every single day. And so if you ask them to do just one more thing, it takes away from the likelihood of their adherence, right? So I'll give you an example. So in addition, we don't just give them this phone. What we do is we give them the experience of the phone. We will customize a home screen, for example, for them. We give them access to our app, other special purpose apps, give them direct access to their care manager, their doctor, transportation, if that's a benefit, so that instead of juggling multiple pieces of paper trying to figure out, what's the name of the transportation service for my Medicaid plan? Well, all they have to do is take out their phone and they can tap on the hotkey. That's one piece. And then another example is remote monitoring devices, right? Remote monitoring is really a core part of what we do, and to ask a member to pair a device to their phone, they're just not going to do it. They're going to say, guys, this is too hard. I'm not doing this. Unenroll me. And so what we'll do, keep it simple. We prepare all those devices in advance. So it is a true plug-and-play experience. All they do is they consent to our program, they receive our kit, and everything's ready to go.
Yeah. I feel like that's a key theme I'm hearing, not just from this panel, but from everyone here, is to really focus on that patient experience to get the adherence up. Let's hear your latest and your next health moonshot move. What should we be excited to hear about from your company in the next year? So, Luke, I'll start with you. We'll go down.
Yeah, I think. Well, the fact that the effort we have put in collecting models from researchers and making them usable by companies will generate new products, so new approval by FDA and or other regulatory agency using the modeling simulation as one of the key elements for decision making. So this is what we're targeting, considering the fact that there is a trend to abolish the use of animals. So a lot of shift will go from use of animals towards alternative methods to develop drugs and medical devices, and this is where InSilico is going to play a significant role. So reducing the number of animals used in the clinical settings or in the development, and generate evidences, clinical evidences, coming from modeling to approval of drugs and medical devices. This is our next moonshot.
I know a lot of people care a lot about this. How much can simulations reduce our reliance on animals in trials?
Oh, a lot, because also the animal is a model. But once you start to have models that really replicate the reality that are coming from a lot of data sets and they are improved and used again and again, you really don't need animals. You can go directly to models. For example, in Europe, there was a recent resolution by the parliament to abolish the use of animals in the next future. And there is a company, big pharma company, like, for example, if I remember correctly, Roche, that decided by 2030 to abolish any kind of use of animals. So this is a trend.
And this technology is key to that. So,
Yep.
Susan, next move that you're excited about.
Validation studies. I think it's really important in this kind of growing field of nutrition as intervention that we've got validation studies. So we've got some things going, and we should have some results. That's the good news about oncology. You have short duration, so you can get through those studies and demonstrate ROI and outcome pretty quickly.
Awesome. Shameet?
Yeah, for us, what we're most excited about over the next 12 months is our move into Medicare Advantage. Because what we see in Medicaid, I think everyone knows, is that they're the hardest of the hard population. And so if you can figure out how to activate a Medicaid member, the evolution into Medicare Advantage and commercial, it's downstream. And I'm not gonna go out on a limb here and say that it's easy to get it. It's not easier. It's a little easier to activate that Medicaid or that Medicare Advantage member or that commercial member, just because you learn a lot about how the most difficult member acts. And you take those learnings and you can apply them. So that's what we're really excited about.
Awesome. Brant, what's next for MouthWatch you're excited about?
We're excited about a lot. We're looking to really take the learnings and evidence we've seen from large-scale implementation of teledentistry into 100-location practice groups, apply that into other programs, and start deploying a network of providers to really facilitate and bring the convenience of teledentistry into programs that may not have the staff or the ability to kind of implement it out of the gate. So we can kind of bring a layer of telehealth into dental and then allow more and more practices and providers to kind of accept it.
Awesome. Thank you all for taking the time to do this. Give you guys a round of applause. Appreciate what you're doing. And if you want to connect with any folks here on this panel, if you want to hear more about their stories, there's so much more we could say. We could dive a lot deeper. We've done stories on most of you on Startup Health Media, and you can really get more background, and you can find them throughout this conference and down in the Startup Health Pavilion. So thank you all.
Thank you.
For all the work you've been doing.
Thank you.
Take care. We're going to invite you.